Hey guys, so obviously in the first introductory video, I went over some of the key concepts initially, but today we're going to go into a bit more depth of specificity and how we can use that in terms of using a needs analysis to sort of assess a physique, but also just generally explain how it's used in sort of exercise and sports science. So let's jump into it. Beautiful. So specificity, a needs analysis. So specificity, again, we're going to cover is very similar to what I covered before. It's obviously the training needs to be specific to highlight different exercises that produce different adaptations, right? If we've got a rower, we obviously might need to work on like aerobic and anaerobic endurance. If we have a bodybuilder, we need to work on hypertrophy. If we have a powerlifter, we need to work on strength. So we've got to emphasize the importance of make sure that we're matching the intensity of the desired outcome and also the prescription, right? In order to get the adaptation that we're after. Now, obviously, once we work with an athlete, we need to really be review the literature and sort of pinpoint of what that looks like for an individual, right? That's where a needs analysis comes in. So pretty much what a needs analysis is it pretty much assesses the individual's goals, their current levels, where they're at in terms of competition level, and any limitations such as injuries. So again, this in turn will help us give our client or ourselves that direct specificity by conducting the needs analysis on the client or ourselves. So components of a needs analysis. So pretty much goal identification. So does this person want to compete in a couple of years? Does this person want to compete in a few weeks? The idea is obviously we need to be more specific with our goals. That way we can periodize their whole training, right? We need to know what the end date is so we know what we need to work on to get to competition. So again, assessing them. So if they're a powerlifter, you might be assessing their 1 rep max to see what their strength is currently at. If they're an endurance runner, you'll probably test their cardiovascular endurance via VO2 max. And again, a lot of these fitness assessments in exercise science would be conducted with research that is predictors of their sport. So for example, we know that in endurance running, a good predictor of the sport is their running economy, their technique. And we also know VO2 max is pretty high correlative. So using those, we can also be like, okay, that's the needs analysis of the sport. Where is this athlete at? And then medical considerations. So, do they have tendonitis? Do they have a torn pec? So again, taking these medical considerations and limitations can obviously impact exercise choice and programming heading forward. So benefits of needs analysis. So obviously you can prevent overtraining and injuries. And again, also apply specificity, right? So if an athlete is good at one area of their sport, potentially they are powerful, but they lack endurance. Again, being able to sort of identify that with a needs analysis can make sure that we target the training to bring up the weak points so the athlete is dominant once they hit the stage or the event. Again, contributing to the desired outcome just here, maximize efficiency by focusing on the exercise that contribute to the desired outcome. And then again, it provides motivation. So in terms of obviously the athlete might be good at power because that's all they're focused on and that's the part they enjoy. But if we also identify it, it creates a nice strong connection between the coach and the athlete to be like, okay, this is what we're trying to aim for. We're trying to get better here. And then again, creates more motivation and achievable goals heading forward. So again, I use myself, I compete in physique sport, and I'll sort of break down what a needs analysis would look like on my end. So obviously, for me, I'm a bodybuilder, so therefore my specificity and my needs analysis, I will be working in obviously hypertrophy. I need to get bigger. However, obviously, in terms of the physique development, this is me at 19 years old. We kind of know that obviously I need to get a bit more in condition, and in terms of my development of physique, we need to bring up the delts, bring up the back, and then we also brought up the chest, but this again is a few years old. And then the intervention would be, so again, once we had done needs analysis and what they're looking for in the division, right? We need to be able to be like, okay, the intervention would be eating a caloric surplus to put on that tissue, specializations to enhance the weak areas. So again, attributing more of our training volume, because again, volume is a dictator of muscle growth. So again, put into the weak points of this physique or this athlete. So it'd be shoulders, back, and chest would get more of the distribution of volume as we progress forward. And again, when we conduct a needs analysis, we must also be critically aware of, again, he's competing in the bodybuilding division. Be aware of their body. And again, that's this athlete. Encompasses the overall balance of the physique and then also muscularity. So it must be muscle mass, proportion, condition, and definition of the physique, right? So essentially, that's why we need to bring up the shoulders and back, because this is the requirements of the sport. So again, if we were to look at this, again, in that rowing example, if the person has terrible VO2 max or has low power output, then those are things that need to be addressed because those are the demands and the predictors of success in the sport. However, obviously in physique sport, it's a bit different. As I said, it's also a bit more qualitative, as in we look at the visual cues of the physique and it is judged subjectively. But again, critical to be like, what's the sport asking for? What's predictors in the sport that predict success? And how do we go about applying our intervention to our athlete or ourselves to ensure that they get better? So again, use any sort of tests. So again, specific to your sport, but again, I'll just talk about myself. So body composition measurements, get DEXA scans, do skin folds, track your weight to make sure that we're obviously moving in the right direction. So again, for example, with example of the case study myself, make sure we're gaining at a proper rate, of 0.25 to 0.5% of body weight per week, and make sure that we're adequately dosing our training volume to the muscle groups that need to be brought up. And modify goals and fitness change as fitness levels change over time, right? So essentially, obviously, it's not like you're going to run that specialization forever until you get those improvements. However, you might run 3 to 5 blocks and then essentially swap over, go back to doing some legs or some full body stuff, and then bring it back into sort of that specialization until we feel confident the athlete has achieved what they were looking to achieve in terms of their development and using that needs analysis to get that specificity. So again, exercise science specificity tailors workouts to specific goals and activities. And needs analysis is an excellent tool to ensure that we can hone in that specificity of what we're trying to achieve and also achieve success in the sport of our chosen choice. And it reinforces the importance of considering the individual needs and safe effectiveness of exercise, right? So if someone's got an injury or a limitation, we also need to be critically aware that if, for example, I have a torn pec, my internal rotation is weaker, we need to be able to address that. I need to focus a lot more on my flies, so therefore my internal rotation gets a bit stronger as we progress up and get stronger, right? We want to avoid injury and program to avoid injury at all costs. But that's pretty much been specificity, guys, and how we can apply needs analysis to specificity and how the benefits of using a needs analysis. Again, I can go into further detail with a needs analysis. But that was just a general overview of what a needs analysis looks like in my sport and sports in general. If you have any questions, guys, feel free to reach out. But like and share, subscribe. Cheers.